possibilities could be. And that's not thinking about a play, two plays, or three plays. It's about our existence, or maybe not, but it's certainly, we have to find and re-cement the foundations of our lives. We've been cut from our foundations. The building is wobbly because it no longer has the pylons that to hold it up. That has been cut off. And of course, because we are liberals in the theater, to half of America, meaning 150 million people, we are the bad guys right now because we're in the liberal arts. So it's a great opportunity to take us a back seat and think, well, there must be a way out. After the Inquisition, there was a way out. After the McCarthy era, there was a way out. After each repressive era, the Spanish and the Portuguese and the Latin Americans and even Germany after the Third Reich had to come up with an answer about what to do. So maybe Brecht was the answer during and after the Third Reich, but each country found its own solution to that repressiveness. Here, I find it equally the same. It's a repressive force coming from the outside, whether it's in the form of a virus or a virus coupled up with an ideology. It's the same thing. We are forced to take a back seat, and it's affected all of us equally.
Hmm. Did you dream something up?
Did I what?
Did you dream something up? Did you think of something in that year?
Yeah, I mean, believe it or not, I'm writing plays, and one of the plays I'm writing is called Traitor, from treason and betrayal, because I feel that we as humans have been betrayed by a force of nature and by ourselves, because we communicate the virus to other people. We become the enemy. I remember the beginning of the mask wearing thing, the instructions of the CDC, the social distancing, mask wearing. The streets of New York were empty. I used to go out here on 23rd Street. I couldn't see a single soul. And whenever we did see somebody coming our way, we would hide our faces, meaning that person, no matter who he was the enemy. So only a traitor, somebody capable of betraying the system, will come out the winner. So I'm writing I'll show you. These are the books, and I'm writing a sequel to all of them. It gives me time to reposition myself. Think about Britain during the Blitzkrieg, during the bombs falling. Everyone had to rethink life, and even in Germany too. I mean, the Germans being Dresden being bombarded, but the inhabitants of Dresden were not responsible for the Third Reich, but they were being bombed. Or Hiroshima, Nagasaki, each of those. That is their life afterwards. Well, I went to Hiroshima in 1999. Back to life. Trees growing, people living, buses going, taxis, restaurants open. You think, wow, in a place where there was this mass destruction, killed almost everyone, burnt everything to the ground. Yeah, it's back. I think we will always come back, Frank. We are undefeatable phoenixes. No matter the amount of ashes, we make a comeback because it's our nature. And that's why I think the theater is an important thing, because theater reflects the nature that we are. Our weaknesses and our strengths at the same time. That's the wonderful contradiction about theater. We can place both on stage, but not always within one generation or 25, not even two. It takes time, which is something we are not used to, because the internet gives us quick answers to everything. Google this and it's on your screen and you forget it within minutes. But if we only think, well, all right, so this time it's different, and it is different, because it's the first pandemic in 100 years. So we, we don't know anybody who lived through the last pandemic and told us the story. But maybe it was the same after 1918. After 1919 or 18 came the 1929 crash, and then the uprising of the Third Reich, and then the war. Think about all that and how much of art was important to huge amounts of civilizations being destroyed. Well, my father tells me there was no need for art, and that was in the middle of Germany. My mother tells me there was no need for art. We looked at Rembrandt, on the wall. There was no need to be reminded of Goya's Black Period, eating a child. There was no need for any kind of a grotesque approach, which is what we do. We are grotesque people. We reveal the grotesqueness in the human race. Well, when they are living that on a daily basis, they don't need to be reminded of it because their skin tells the full story. I'm sorry to be so grim.
No, that's very important. So in a way, you might say we are still in a time where we do not need art, but we have to think, we have to prepare.
How much of us, and I include myself, how much of us really take our ego and our creative ability to the seat called existential questions, or maybe Sigmund Freud or Jung or you name it, Lacan. How much of us really question everything we do in a very serious manner? There was no time because tomorrow morning the agent will be calling, is it ready? We need to rehearse in 3 weeks. It has to be ready in 6 weeks and has to be on a stage in Hamburg at the Thalia Theater or at Kampnagel in a matter of 2 months. There was never time to do anything. We were always tied up with money, production costs, cut it by 2 days, travel costs. I remember when a set of mine came from New York and it got lost in Hamburg. It went to Johannesburg and said, oh, what do you do without a set? Well, you have to do it. It'll take time to come from Johannesburg to Hamburg. So the improvisational aspect is questionable, but it is also an existential act, which we need to exercise. I think for a long time we've been automats, we've been robots geared by a mechanical need to produce. Now, there is no such thing. So sit on your fucking ass and think about a proper, strong response to the human questions which arise from a pandemic. There is no need for an answer tomorrow or by September or by November. We shouldn't put a date on these things. How can you put a date on anything? It doesn't have, the only things that should have a date are vaccines. I need it ready by then. So work your asses off. So science maybe has a date, but this is a very intricate mechanism which does not always respond to pressure.